her to tell what's going on with her and what's going on and happening to her within the court system, so that we can take it and expose it if it's corrupt.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm very glad to see that you guys are up and running and that finally the people will have a voice that have to endure, this type of corruption. Basically, my name is Gwendolyn Chubb Shavers. I'm married to Steve Shavers, who is the Special Assistant for Todd Stroger, President of Cook County Board. And I'm going through a divorce from him and a custody battle. And in the process of us going through this, I retained Rhea Dorsum to be my attorney to represent me for the divorce, child support, maintenance, and for my children's education. Well, she started out explaining to me that she was going to go for all of those things, but when we got to court, she did not advocate for me. She advised me to leave my home with the children, although I had been a housewife for 8 years and was totally dependent upon my husband for food, shelter, clothing, everything. And I have here in one of my letters that she did advise me to leave the house with my 2 children, unemployed, with no way of taking care of them. So when we went to court, she never would motion for child support or for maintenance, and she ended up making an agreement with his attorney, Daniel Flory, not to even seek maintenance for me, and never even told me this. And I ended up getting a copy of this letter from Stephen's file. So I don't understand why my attorney, who never brought up Stephen's attempt to kill me on August 7, 2007, where he beat me, choked me, kicked me, cut me with a knife, which I still have scars. The police have pictures. These pictures have never been introduced. I've gone down to 35th and Michigan and requested them twice and been told that I need to have a subpoena from my lawyer. I asked Rhea to do that. That was never done. She ended up telling me on the phone with my sister listening that she was not going to bring up any domestic abuse because she needed to protect Stephen's reputation. So I didn't understand that either.
Now, why would she need to protect his reputation?
Because if it came out that he had been beating me for 3 years, he had tried to kill me, he had been arrested, it would look very bad for Todd Stroger, who was already having some issues going on with his personnel.
And because he's a special assistant to Todd Stroger.
Yes, and because he has lots of political connections. He worked for Commissioner Roberto Maldonado, who has now, I think, been appointed the alderman for the 26th Ward. He was formerly the chief of staff for Congressman Luis Gutierrez when he went to Washington. And I mean, his connections go far back. I was married to him.
They run deep.
Right.
Now, what has the judge said about this? The judge never even attempted to bring up maintenance, or I mean, what is your relationship with the judge?
First of all, this is the second judge. The original judge, Judge Schuster, she gave me full custody of the children. She gave me possession of the house. She gave me an order of protection against Stephen. And when we went back to court, she had all of a sudden been transferred out of 102, and all of a sudden Judge Arce was there, who has attended golf outings with Commissioner Maldonado while Stephen was working there. When I walked into the courtroom, they were discussing one of the golf outings. So I don't understand what happened, but he's now over the case. He has never asked for an advocate, although I have seen him appoint domestic abuse advocates from next door to women who don't have legal representation. Never brought that up, never brought up child support, knew I did not have a way of taking care of the children, knew that I was not working, knew that I was on food stamps with my 2 children.
Now, how did he know all of this?
I tried to bring it up, at which time, because Rhea Dorsum told the judge, oh, Stephen is voluntarily paying her money, and she left the house voluntarily. No, I didn't. You told me to leave. So whenever I would try to speak up with Judge R.C., he would always say, that's what you have a lawyer for. You're not allowed to talk.
So, are you saying that the judge that you have now, Judge Edward R.C., is going on golf outings with your estranged husband?
He has attended golf outings that Steve Shavers was totally in control of, organized, sent out invitations, had his name listed on the sponsor list.
Okay, so he's a sponsor.
Yes, of one of the golf. Yes.
So then you feel that there would definitely be some bias with this judge towards you.
I didn't feel that way in the beginning, although it just appears with everything that has happened since then, with me telling the judge that I was on food stamps and that Steve brings home over it's probably $6,000 a month, that he was not paying me child support, that he was harassing me, that he was verbally abusing me, that he was stalking me. So I asked for an order of protection from the judge, which he refused. Then when I went to court the last time to ask for emergency child support, because I was staying in one of my girlfriend's basement with my 2 children, Rhea did not ask the judge for child care. She went to Daniel Flory and said, well, we need child care so that Ms. Shavers can look for a job.
Excuse me, I got turned around in the park a little bit. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, you got turned around in the park.
I was talking about how I needed child care for the children, and Judge and Rhea went to Daniel Flory. And so then Daniel Flory says, well, she wanted the kids. The child care is her problem. So Rhea, at that time, instead of her going in front of the judge to say, Judge, order Stephen to pay child care so that Ms. Shavers can get a job. She has a job interview with Chicago Public Schools coming up. She says, well, you know what? Just take the kids down south to your mom. Your mom is in Alabama. Take them down there to Alabama. At which time, I got on my cell phone, called my mom, and sat right in front of Rhea and said, okay, my attorney said for me to just bring the kids to you for 2 weeks while I go on my interviews. I had to go on 3 separate interviews for this one position. So my mom says, okay, well, are you sure that's okay? Yes, my attorney says for me to do that. Well, I take my kids down south and I call Stephen to let him know from my daughter's cell phone, because my daughter was 6. He had given her a cell phone so that he could keep tabs on us at all times. Well, I called to let him know we were down there, and he was like, well, what are you doing down there? We're down here, we're on vacation, whatever. So it was fine until he found out I was coming back to Chicago without the children. At that time, he says, oh, well, you just want to be up here and be free. No, you're not going to do that. I said, well, I offered, before I took these kids down south, I offered to give them to you while I went on my interviews for the day. Not even for a long period of time, just help me find somebody to watch them for the day, or you take one of your vacation or your required furlough days, since the county is so short, take one of those, watch your children while I go on my job interview. He refused to do that, so I had no choice but to take them down south because I have no other child care up here. Well,
and you have no finances to be able to
no
pay for
finances on the food stamps. Here it is. I left Stephen January 28, 2008. Here it is. We just now getting a cause coming on to be heard for temporary support and child custody. And this is on what date? June 11th. So how would I have any finances?